Hello everyone, welcome to my first YouTube video upload. This is going to be basically a rundown of the build so far. I started the channel because a lot of people in the past, every time I've gone to like a show or something with it, people have always asked me, do you have an Instagram or YouTube or anything about the car? And I always had to tell them no, because I never filmed anything I was supposed to. As of right now, we're just going to cover everything that I've done on the car so far and just catch us up to date. And then from there, I'll go for all of the different projects we're going to be working on in the future. All right, so I'm going to start out talking about the business end. It was once a 2001 MR2 Spyder with the 1ZZ, 140 horsepower, 4-cylinder. Obviously not enough power with that, so I wanted to do something crazy with it. That's why I bought this vehicle in the first place. My initial intent was to put a V12 bi-turbo from a Mercedes and just extend the whole thing with a chassis in the rear. But we decided to go against that just because it just seemed like way far-fetched for what I had going on and what kind of space I had to work with at the time. So what we went with was a VR6 3.2 liter. Since then I have put a big turbo kit on it. This is the FTX 600 turbo from the tuning company HPA Motorsports. Right now it's set up for 600 horsepower. Currently I'm running low boost on it just to break everything in. It's got the DSG transmission. It was an all-wheel drive transmission. I've converted it to a rear-wheel drive. Let's see if I can go down here. I got rid of the transfer case, or the bevel box they call it, and put a plate, and I got an axle from a Volkswagen EOS to take place of that. Had to notch the chassis back here. I don't know if you can see it. Doesn't look fantastic because it's cramped, but notched it and put steel in so it has room for the axles to go low. But yeah, it's a BorgWarner 8374 turbo. It's good for 700 horsepower. Got a catch can. This is the boost controller. I have it off boost control right now on a 7-pound spring just to break in the car. It doesn't like that because the wastegate's not big enough. I hit 14 pounds of boost surge. I'm not supposed to be doing that, but I don't really bang on it anyway yet. In order to get this kind of flow through one pipe, I needed to use a 4-inch exhaust. So I got a 4-inch stainless with a high flow cat and a vibrant performance muffler. I got that on. I had to go to diesel websites to find them that big. Had to pretty much, well, we extended the chassis. I put just steel reinforcement back here. I want to redo it again in round tubing. Since then, we've run into some issues with the clutch packs. So I've actually upgraded the cooling system. I haven't had it on the road since this, but it's got a, used to have a coolant to water or a coolant to oil cooler on it. And when you get up to temp and running it hard, it would just basically be heating the oil instead of cooling it. So what I had to go about doing was sourcing some parts to make my own, because the kits they had were just really expensive. I was able to do this for half the price and still had quality stuff. I just bought a regular transmission oil cooler, and then I found that plate on the internet somewhere. Can't even remember where I found it, but it's the same plate they used for all the other kits, so I just put that together with some fittings and AN, and I ran the radiator for that over to the edge. Let's see, oh, the light's off. Ran the radiator over to the edge here. I cut this out a little bigger so it would fit the, well, just allow a little more airflow into the engine bay. It seemed like the holes that were there were just way too inadequate. The radiator sitting outside of there. I still got to build a little ductwork for it. I can't really see it, not in this light. Let's see if I can get this out. I got to build some ductwork for it so I'm not just throwing rocks into it all the time. It's actually being fed from the vent, so I kind of like how that works. And then I did the same thing on the other side for the air intake. I gotta cut that all out too. I gotta make new fender flares, or inner fenders, for making sure all that works and doesn't throw rocks all over the place. I just swapped the coolant bottle out for a, I wanna say it's a Fiat 500 coolant bottle. Had to do a lot more rerouting to get that to fit. I wanted to clean up the engine bay a little bit because everything was still all here, stock stuff, and it was just kind of in the way. So I wanted to make it so it was easier to work on in the future. So what we've done so far, I wanted some ridiculous wheels for it. So I got these Forged Star F14s. The backs are 295 tires on a 19-inch wheel. I wanted that staggered look, that double stagger. So I went with 18s, they're 235s on 18-inch wheels on the front. In the process, what I've done was essentially made it so ABS and everything was not going to be happy. The discrepancy between the two was, I think, 6.9%. So what I have is a project coming up where I have to fool the front wheel speed sensor into thinking it's the speed of the rear one. So the entire car has been pretty much reworked with all the Audi components to make this happen. So they're 5x100 bolt pattern wheels. Every corner of this car has an Audi knuckle on it. What we wound up doing was basically re-drilling some holes for the top strut mounts and using various components to make this work. The Audi TT knuckles, I'm running front knuckles all the way around the car since they're pretty much the same strut design as the MR2s, minus a couple of links. So what we've done though is I've gone with Airlift Performance air suspension. I'm running TT front rears, and then the front of the car is using Volkswagen Rabbit design. The collar just happens to fit exactly inside of the TT knuckle, so it worked out pretty well. Yep, I had to do some rework. You can see up here, it looks kind of ugly. I actually sprayed all this with a truck bed liner, Raptor liner. It turned out like crap. I need to redo it all, so it makes everything look ugly. But essentially, this is where the original strut mounted, and then re-drilled some holes, and I added reinforcement plates underneath. I had to actually rebuild the strut tower as well to accommodate the larger shock. So this is all just plate steel down to the bottom. It's really strong. I took it through the test, tortured it, rechecked everything afterwards, and everything kind of checked out. I'll get it on the track here soon to really get the shake it down, make sure everything's good. Front and rear brakes, also the same thing. The fronts are from the TT that I had the donor car. They're just 2 pistons in the front. They're giant rotors though. They're like 350 millimeter, I want to say. The rears, I just took, basically just bought Mark IV Golf GTI rear discs and rotors, or discs and calipers, and mounted those in the rear. They're the same design, they have the same bolts, so everything worked out there too. So I'm basically running 4 front wheels on this car. I've had it out on the road for a while. It handles really well, responsive. So also, with that, I have the brake booster, master cylinder, all that from the Audi TT that I took it out of. I had to hammer some of this back. I got to clean that up to fit the booster. It's a lot bigger than the original one from the MR2. Running the Audi TT ABS system. I have to clean up the wiring on that. I had to swing this power steering fluid reservoir forward and the pump, the electric pump. I'm still using that as well. It has a couple things bolted to it, like the radiator controls for the Audi. Pretty much the whole wiring harness from the TTs in this car. So I kind of selected what I'm using, and I have the MR2 stuff to kind of control the comfort of the vehicle. A couple other things I've done is I've wired the TT harness to allow me to use the key fob to unlock the doors. So that kind of was nice that it worked out. I kept the door harnesses and everything too, just in case I needed to do that. The ballast and stuff of the HIDs are just kind of tucked in here. I'm gonna wait till I get the Morimotos to actually bolt them on correctly. So they're just kind of hanging out for now. Just went with the silicone hose kit, Mishimoto radiator for the front, and their fan kit. I actually wound up using their controller because the stock Audi one kicks on a little too late for my taste. I want it to cool before. So this is set to a lot lower temp to get going. For that big turbo in the back, the HPA kit comes with a water to air intercooler. So there's a water pump for that. The blue hoses are to control the water flow through this radiator up here. That's going to be for the water to air intercooler. Seems to work well. I have everything so it just turns on with the key. I want it to be kind of as stock feeling as possible when it's actually driving. Another cool upgrade was we went with a lithium battery from anti-gravity batteries. That thing's been awesome. It doesn't have a lot of capacity to it, but it does start the car every time. It also has a built-in jump starter, so if that capacity does go out, I won't be stranded. And then I just went with a couple of typical things. There's you can see down there, the blue cross bracing, and then the strut bar up front. I'm building a strut bar for the rear to accommodate the new strut design. So like with the front here, these two bolts are actually from the strut itself, and I just used the 3 to hold this together. But the Volkswagen Rabbit ones, I had to drill that extra hole there, and I used the original front. It actually gets you a little bit more caster when you do that. Inside the car, wanted to keep everything as stock as possible. Nothing special going on here. I had to delete airbags, obviously, because I didn't have everything cohesive with the Toyota system. I just used the airbag housing to mount the stereo and or the amp and the EQ Clarion for both of those. They're actually really nice for the size. It's a 5-channel amp. I run the tweeters and door speakers separately. Since it's a DSG, I have the automatic shifter from the TT. A lot of people hate seeing that, but they don't know what's in it. This here is a Mark I rendition. Measured out everything in the car from the front to the back of the original center console, measured this out, and then I developed it in Fusion 360, printed it. I still got to clean it up. It's kind of ugly. I printed it, and then I went through it in fiberglass and resined on the inside, and I put a little resin on the outside, and it just kind of made a mess. I have a tablet dash mount I made myself out of a computer monitor mount swivel. I can pick it up and turn it and all that. Right now, I just kind of, once the tablet is in there, right now it's in the house, but it'll just sit there and charge. It's kind of nice. I like it. Gives it that little modern feel. And then the back, since I got rid of the radio and everything, I just run, there's just a couple of these eBay, USB ports and like a cigarette lighter port. And then I had to put the horn down here because I had the clock spring and everything from the TT as well, which I never actually wired the horn to work with the MR2 stuff. So that I just did separate because I hardly ever use it. It's just there if I need it. And then the HVAC controls, I just set down here. These are just to control the fan here. I actually have it set to just cold because I only plan on driving it in the summer anyway. And then the switch here is going to run the AC compressor. I have back up front. I'm trying to use the original MR2 AC system, but this was a Honda Civic. It fits the same threads, but it's only 2 wires. Basically, it's a pressure switch only. It doesn't control the fans or anything like that. But I have that switch controlling these fans as well. So what this is going to do is basically just allow me to run my Audi compressor. So I have that in the circuit with the switch, and then the switch runs the compressor clutch. So if that's not met, it won't turn on. So I still have to charge that system and test it, but that's kind of what I got going. Just developing as I go. So far I haven't needed it because I haven't been driving it, so I guess I'll run into those issues and rush to complete that. That's kind of on the end of my list though. What else we got going on is Energy racing wheel, or Energy, just a deep dish. I got another wheel going on that kind of matches the color of the car. I painted the stripe green to match the calipers. Boost gauge, and I have a 3D printed housing for it. Up top I have the housing for the Audi steering column, which I also welded that in. That's an Audi steering column in there with tilt and telescopic steering. It's also an Audi TT cluster up there. And then for the tablet, we just have a Marine JL Audio Bluetooth receiver, and that goes directly to the amp. There's no middleman, so it sounds pretty good actually. Even with the stock speakers, I'm pretty impressed. And then just a Pioneer sub in the rear. I can't really see back here, but there's a Hellcat fuel pump running all this. Then I made my own housing and hanger for it. And then from the interior, you can see where I had to cut the rear to allow all that to happen. That engine's sticking right in your face. I got a cover I'm building for it to cover all that, hide it. And then I made fuel lines out of aluminum tubing. And then there's a filter, and then the regulator right there. Just a straightforward setup. Comes on with the key. I use the original wiring, and then I have a relay that has bigger wires to run the pump. I got plans for a roll cage, hard top. So right now I'm not too worried about this. I got a big old giant hole right here, but I'm not worried about repairing it right now. I'm just gonna delete it and get rid of all that. So far, I mean, this has really fattened the car up a little bit. We're looking at probably 2,500 pounds curb weight. It's still lighter than most sports cars, so. And with 600 horsepower at 2,500 pounds, I don't think it's gonna feel it at all. Even with the 14 pounds of boost creep I was getting, it is faster than anything I've ever driven. So hopefully I can refine on it. And with all these new mods I've done that I haven't driven on, it should perform well. So if you like this car and you want to see more of it, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. I should have uploads coming soon. I have a couple more videos in the work now, addressing those issues that we talked about earlier. So if you want to check those out, I should have them up within the next week. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.